Let's see everyone. It's not good. Okay, calling and counting. We probably won't take the whole class today, which I know is okay with you. General guidelines, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 big points on my outline that we will talk through. First one is in every dance or step that is taught, there should be 3 characteristics that are emphasized or specified, noted to the students. And it's the name. Name, meaning the name of the dance or the name of the step. There should be an introductory something like, today we are going to learn the foxtrot. And then every dance, you should give some small background of the dance. A 30-second historical, this is where foxtrot came from, this is the background of foxtrot kind of a thing. And we'll have a day that we go over dance histories. But you should be able to, of any of the 4 basics, give a 15, 20-second background blurb on that dance, just to give some context to the dance. And then each step that is taught, make sure your students know the name of the step. This is a crossover break. Next step we're learning is a walk around turn. So they can put a name with a step. Does it help them do the step any better? No. But I feel like it's really important for students to know what they know, name-wise. I've had, we talked a little bit about competitions and dancing and syllabus. Sometimes I called a couple over at a competition that the coach has, registered, this couple's doing this step is not bronze. So I called a couple over and I said, this is a bronze level and you are doing this step. And then they stare at me because they have no idea what step that is in their routine. They just know a routine. They don't know the names of any of the steps. So for me, it is a disadvantage in a way because then when they go to teach, they get to a level that they're going to be teaching things. They know steps, but they don't know the names of steps. So I just think that's part of the whole package. They should know the names of the steps, and they should know, if they're in a competitive world, these are bronze steps. Now this step, this is a silver step. I just feel like you're empowering them when you give them the academic knowledge of the physical steps, kind of thing. And I've done it. Everybody does it. They move on to the next thing, and then you go, oh, by the way, what we've been doing the last 10 minutes is called, backtrack and realize you never told me. And that's okay, I think, as long as it gets there. So name is number 1. Number 2 is the pattern of the step. Where their feet or bodies are going to go. And you can name those about boxes, a forward or back, a zigzag, a arch, all of what the movement is going to be. And in some dances, this is when you can give a key to the men, like in foxtrot. You say, men, the key in foxtrot is you will always step forward on your left foot to begin a pattern. You will always go forward on your left. And so you're kind of giving them that tool of, okay, every time I'm going to start something, I'm going forward on my left. And you can give keys that are really helpful like that. Ladies, you're always back on your right, those kind of things. And the third one is the rhythm of the dance or of the step. Most dances have a common rhythm for all of their steps. So you say in foxtrot, our rhythm is, you talk about slow, slow, quick, quick. And you can do some type of rhythmic exercise. We're talking, very beginning, like 180 levels, rhythmic exercise. You're clapping the rhythm, stomping the rhythm, something to feel the rhythm, and then you put the rhythm onto a pattern. So you've taught him The basic is going to go 2 forward and then a sideways and a close. So they've done that. Say, okay, now we're going to put our rhythm on the pattern. So our 2 forwards are slow, and then our side is quick, quick. Right?
That's like, I'm screwing up when I was teaching box for foxtrot because that's slow, quick, quick. Or
Oh, the box?
yeah, box for foxtrot.
Right, right. So when you get to those box steps, then you have to kind of go through this again. Okay, we're learning a step called the box step. It has a new pattern. You teach that box pattern and new rhythm. So you got to talk about this new rhythm for the box step.
I forgot that there was a different rhythm. So I was teaching it, and I was like, it's the same. And then Melissa was like, actually, it's different. It's
by the way,
quick.
Different
I was like,
rhythm.
oh, right.
Now, almost every dance has a step or 2 steps in that, in these 10 bronze I would teach that has an altered rhythm. Foxtrot has the box step, swing has the stop and go, and the limby walks. Cha-cha will have the triple cha-cha, changes our basic rhythm. Waltz, we don't have anything in bronze waltz that has an altered rhythm until we get to that promenade chasse, and we add chasse, which adds the signal. So you don't have to talk about different rhythms. You don't have to walk through a rhythm until you do the variation. Name, pattern, and rhythm. Those are the 3 things. Make sure you do teach in every step that the students know. Okay, number 2, start and call. How to start your students with. What's the ultimate goal when you're teaching students to dance? And I know that's too broad for you to know what. For me, the outcome. What's the outcome? Is that your students can dance without you calling. That's our desired outcome. And so we're calling to music. This is something that their brains can recognize. So I think it's really important at the beginning that we say the same thing every time we start with them. So that just becomes like the earworm for them. They hear every time, 1, 2, 3, whatever it starts with. They hear it in their head. So if you're not calling, they still have something. All right. Beginning ballroom dancing. This is my opinion. You should never start with 5, 6, 7, 8. And that is why I see that as not great. But it's everywhere in the dance world, right? Very universal. I'll tell you, this has come over my years of working with beginning dancers, and we talked the other day about those who struggle with that. If someone has a hard time finding a 1 in music, how do you feel about finding a 5? I'll be like, I have no idea where to start themselves. But they feel like they can probably find a 1. And even if they can't, they're confident to think 1 at some point. They're not confident enough to ever think 5, 6, 7, 8. So for me, it's empowering to students to start with a 1 so that they can then replicate that for themselves. Now, this is not when we're talking about a dance team that's doing a set choreography to set music. When you call in 5, 6, 7, 8, they just know that's to start, and then start on that same point of the song. So they don't need to start at all. But when we're talking about couples who are going to be individually dancing at a dance, we want to empower those boys. Girls to battle. They can get out there on the floor. 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you feel super cool. This is funny. I remember the first time I verbally called in a group as a grade junior, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow, I am all that. Because I just started and I said 5, 6, 7, 8, like my dance teachers do. Now I didn't know where at that time I didn't understand musical phrasing. Musical phrasing is in how many counts, full musical phrasing context. 8. There are 8 counts in a full musical phrase in our common time, 4/4 music. There are 8 counts. So the 5, 6, 7, 8 is calling the second half of that phrase so that they can start on the beginning of the next measure of music, so that they can start on the 1, because the 1 comes after the 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then they start. Now, no one ever calls a full 8 count, call someone in. Never had a teacher, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, start. It's just 5, 6, 7, 8 is like the abbreviated call in. And it works great because the dancers know when you're done saying 8, then they start. They can understand that.
Sometimes when you're teaching like a new rhythm or something, slow, good. 5, 6, 7, 8 is that?
Let's count it. How many counts are in that? Slow, good, 8. So I will tell you, start with a 1 and use a full measure to call in beginning class. We're talking about beginning classes. 1, 2, ready, go. Using all 8 counts of a measure of a phrase, musical phrase, to call in your class. That helps them start to connect to musical phrases. You're not telling them that's what you're doing, but you're helping them feel that a full musical phrase is 8 counts. And so use a full musical phrase to call in students. So that is why I really beat this drum of start on 1, start on 1, start on 1, start on 1. And then if you're changing something, you've been calling on 1, you can change things like basic first, ready, go. That's your 8 counts. You've given them the whole count. If you want to give a specific instruction about something. What I just did next point, use the same tempo as they're going to step with first. So if they're going to start with slows, call on slows. 1, 2, ready, go. Slow, slow, ready, go. Because what are their first 2 steps in foxtrot? Slow, slow. If you do 5, 6, 7, 8, what was your rhythmic call? Quicks. 5, 6, 7, 8, slow. So it's not matching the beat that you just established for them. So try and match the established beat. Everything we start with in 180 starts with slows. Swing starts with slows, foxtrot starts with slows, cha-cha is going to start with slows, and waltz is all slows. So everything starts with slows. We don't in 180 start with rock, step, and swing. Now, if they go up into intermediate swing, they're going to switch and change to a rock step, a quick. But for now, it's a slow. So try and match that first step tempo so that they can just follow along. Does that make any sense? I feel really strongly about this starting call stuff. I feel like you can be a great service to your students if you'll do it in a way that they can just put it into their brain. Okay, let's talk about starting calls for each dance. We kind of have. Let me say one more thing, back up. Have you had a teacher do this, which is really funny to me? I want you to start watching and listening to starting calls in your dance classes. And this is not right or wrong. I just want you to become observers and learn from starting calls. Have you had teachers do this? 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8. This one's very amusing to me because what is the first 5? 1. What are they calling? 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I don't know where it came from to do the 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know where it came from. It's very common in dance teachers. And every time I hear it, I just smile. That's cute. It's cute. You're calling 1 and a 3. than a 5, 6, 7, 8. You know, 5, 6, 7, 8 is fun to say, I think, but not great for beginners, and I have no beef with it with the advanced people. Okay, so foxtrot and swing, they're common time. They have exactly the same rhythm, slow, slow, quick, quick. So we do exactly the same starting call. Do a 1, 2, ready, and then your action word. What are you going to say that after you say that word, they know they start? I'm a go. Some teachers are an and. No right or wrong. You just establish a word that is your action word. 1, 2, ready, go. For me, it's go. I just like to go. It's very quick. Some say begin, some say and. It's okay. You just establish it and then try to do it every time. Yes.
Is it saying 1, 2, ready, go? The same thing as saying 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8.
It is. But what you're doing with beginning students is empowering them to start themselves. By starting on a 1. Because students will come to you.
So could you say 5, 6, ready, go?
No. Because the idea is you want your students to have the confidence to start themselves. And for me, if you start with 5, they will feel like the ones that don't know music, they'll be like, I don't know where 5 is. They're trying to count music, trying to find where 5 is. Does that make sense?
So if we're saying 1, teaching them the 1 is 5.
No, our 1 is on a 1 because we're doing all 8 counts. If you just do a 1, 2, ready, go. That's 5. 1 is on your 1. 2 is on the 3. Ready is on the 5. Go is on the 7. Assign it to numbers. I just found that students can feel like they can do that in their heads. So when the teacher is not going to call, you just say, okay, you find the 1, you start yourselves, and they feel like they can do that. I say, you do your 1, 2, ready, go in your head. That makes sense. Action word. Make sure that they know that there is a cue word for when they should start. And when they hear that word, that's when they start. It's the go or the end. So even if the music's not on, if music is not on, I don't feel like you always have to start with that 1, right? Because you're not connecting to anything. But when there's no music on, use those same words like ready, go. So there's that action word, tells them that's when they're going to start. All right, let's talk cha-cha. Oh wait, let's go back. Foxtrot and swing, common time, 8 counts in the musical phrase. How many counts in a basic of those 2 dances?
6.
6. So what is the second basic in Foxtrot start on? What note? 7. So has Foxtrot ever felt off to you?
Yes.
That is why, because we're splitting the 8 count in Foxtrot and swing. I taught in the middle school. One year we taught in the band room at the middle school. That was just our only place. And Mr. B was in there, and I was friends with him. And he would just sit in there and watch the class one time. He came up to me after class and he's like, what is wrong with Foxtrot? What do you mean? He's like, it's just like off. And I like, oh. I said, let me show you. So I danced the basic one. Slow. I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1. So it takes 4 basics to get back to a 1. Oh, that makes sense. And so magic rhythm foxtrot is tricky because you're starting on a 1, 3, 5, 7 before you get back to a 1. So when your students are dancing themselves, you can't keep calling for them because, like Michael the other day in our 180 class, it was a lead follow practice. And I stopped calling slows and quicks, and he looked at me like, why aren't you calling it? Because everybody is in a different place in the music right now. Because they could be on a quick when someone else is on a slow, depending on when they start. Like if this person started right on this measure, but another person waited 2 more measures, they're going to be off on their slow. So you can't do continuous slow, quick calling when they start themselves. They're in a different place in the phrasing. Choreographically, that's why it's tricky, because when you choreograph, you're doing musical phrases. Lyrics are on musical phrases, unless you're Michael Jackson. And if you try to choreograph to Michael Jackson, he does a mixed phrasing. It makes you crazy. But choreographers often add 2 counts of something. We talked about this a little bit. 2 counts of something to finish that phrase. A hit, or kick, or boom, boom. Something to fill those 2 counts so they can stay on the musical phrasing of a song.
Like, yeah, kind of like how in some rumba steps you'll
Do the time step? Yeah, there's no time step in foxtrot and swing to take up that 7/8, the basic patterns. So it's tricky. Swing and foxtrot are both that same way. So people who, sometimes you'll get a student like music major or someone that is very strongly, innately tied to musical phrasing, and they will struggle with the rhythm of foxtrot and swing because of that, because they're not starting on a 1 every time. And that's where our body naturally wants to start. You know, our musical wiring wants to start on a 1. So it's a funny rhythm. Not for swing and foxtrot.
I wonder, like, that kind of explains some, like, I think I'm so, like, off the, like, I learned musically to a point, but in some music things, I just have no sense of it. And so I wonder if that's, like, sometimes when I start, like, off, like, after the person in front of me, but I'm still following their rhythm to a point. That, I don't know how to explain it, but it, like, then my partner would be like, oh, okay, didn't think we were about to start. I wonder if that's why.
That could be related.
Because I totally don't feel the phrasing at all. Like, I mean, I can, like, to a point, I feel it, but
There
it's
are
everybody's fault.
There are definitely different levels of innate timing and rhythm. Some can feel a beat and stay on the beat of a song, but they don't necessarily feel the phrasing, like where a 1 is in music. And others just can tell where, like, the 1 starts. They can just feel it. There's not a great way to explain what that feel is. Some say where it's the emphasized beat. It's not really the emphasized beat always. And waltz, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Some can feel where the 1 is, and some feel it like 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3 that's equal. It can't feel the 4, 5, 6 versus the 1, 2, 3. So there are definitely different levels of feeling the beat. Some kids, they can stay right on the beat the whole time, but they didn't start on 1. But they're staying true tempo with the beat. So definitely different levels. I think just in everything, there's different levels, skill levels innately that we were given in our gift packages. That's what I call it. So let's talk about cha-cha, because cha-cha, how many counts in a cha-cha phrase? 8. Do you know what I'm doing by this musical phrase? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many counts in a cha-cha basic? So 1 basic fills a full phrase. So it's easier for people to dance, but
Isn't it like offset?
offset because the basic starts where? Ends where? 1. Okay, cha-cha, I don't know when it became this, that it started on 2. Originally, cha-cha started on 1. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a cha-cha basic. There are 8 steps in a cha-cha basic. Somewhere in the late 70s, early 80s, and I haven't found anywhere that explained why it changed to hold the 1, step on the 2. I think probably some cool couple started playing that, and it just caught on. One of those things that just caught on, and now it's globally. Except like, you know, if you've ever watched grandparents dance or senior citizens dance, they definitely just dance on 1 for the breaking step. So this is my thing, my cha-cha soapbox. If you are teaching beginning cha-cha, like to younger children or a one-time class somewhere, you know, at mutual night, you're just going in to teach cha-cha or for a sing dance, don't try and make them break on count 2. Don't make them fight in natural rhythm. Our bodies move with natural phrasing. Our bodies want to move on count 1. If you're just standing there, you're going to start naturally, you're going to start on 1.
We go country dancing a lot. We do a cha-cha line dance and they break on time. And I think we're just been so able to break on 2. And every time we go on. But it's just because that's what's the general crowd.
Yes. I feel really strongly about this because I've had too many kids, like younger kids, and even people my age, like, oh, I never do cha-cha, I can't get the rhythm. If you can't get the rhythm, you've had some teacher tell you it's wrong to step on 1. Is it wrong?
It would feel wrong to me.
It's like a mambo.
Like Mambo, how many people can actually dance Mambo on count 2? 2% of the population is like.
I'm to close my eyes.
So this is my thing for cha-cha. I want you to just realize in your heart that when you go teach cha-cha, please determine the desired outcome for that group. Are these going to be competitive couples? Then absolutely break on 2. Are these a one-time, like 3rd grade Valentine party, and you just want them to dance to a little song? Break on 1, because that's where they're naturally break. And I'm not saying prep, I'm saying break on 1. Start your basics on 1. Oh. So we do stake dances. We haven't, right, from COVID for 2 years, but stake dances in our state, we do an hour of instruction before, and we teach cha-cha, and I always ask my youth, a couple of my IBA kids, I said, come help, come be partners, spread out in the lines. And so we line up, and when we start to teach the basic, I'd say, okay, IBA kids, we're going to break on 1. Take a deep breath. You will not go to dance hell for doing this. It's okay to break on 1 because it just makes a better experience for a one-time instruction. 1, 2, cha, cha, cha. 1, 2, cha, cha, cha. And when you've danced a lot, when you're at that level, it's going to feel like the fingernails on the chalkboard. It's just going to feel so wrong to your body because you've muscle memoried your body into that count 2. But it's not the natural break point. It's not the natural break. I went and we taught for many, many years for called the National League of Junior Cotillions. It's this big manners and dance training for children. And we were their national dance directors. And we would go work with those ladies. They were society ladies from the South, like proper society ladies. And some of them, there was another dance teacher there and just drilled in them that they had to count it on the 2. They had to break it on the 2. And so some of those ladies were like, Miss Janie, I'm just not going to teach the cha-cha anymore. I can't break on that count 2. It's okay. So in my classes, I said, hey, turn off your video cameras. Because I don't want the directors to know I'm saying this. Don't break on count 2, break on 1 in your classes. So I said, I want you to watch me dance. I said, I'm going to dance a segment. One of them breaking on count 1, one of them breaking on count 2. And after I do it, you tell me which was which. And I would do it count 1, count 2, breaking example. And then afterwards, they're like, I don't know. Like, if you don't know, neither do the kids. And it doesn't matter. For how much they're learning cha-cha, it doesn't matter. If they then go on like, I love this dancing, I did a cotillion class, I'm going to go to a studio and learn. They can go to a studio and learn and then easily convert to a count two break. But don't lose cha-cha. Cha-cha is such a good dance. Don't lose cha-cha because I'm fighting for it. You just have to realize, like you're saying, is it wrong to break on count two? Well, in a technique book, repetitively, you should break on count two. Social dancing, does it diminish the enjoyment for someone to break on count one? No. So, don't lose your testimony of cha-cha. Just realize, oh, okay. In social dance class in 180, what we have done is use a prep step on count one. So we can teach them to move on one, but the break step is on count two. Because here we want to teach them correct techniques. And then if they go on, we don't want them to have to relearn it. So, they're going to feel that natural movement. We say, hey, 1, 2, ready, go. There's our 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, prep step. Break on 2. Break, start the basic chop, chop, chop. Now, there isn't an official prep step at the studios like Arthur Murray prep step. I chose not to use it because an Arthur Murray prep is the second half of the basic. Arthur Murray prep is left, 2, 3, chop, chop, chop. And then they start their basic. For me, I found beginners get lost. They do a whole half of a basic as a prep. They don't know when the basic actually starts. So I'm just like, okay, we're gonna stomp, because on the class, we're gonna stomp on count 1. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, chop, chop, chop. Then they're starting on the 2. Then they know that's just a prep. They're just prepping on 1, because their body wants to move on 1. That makes sense. I know that's a lot of talk about, but I really want you to understand it is not wrong to teach on 1 depending on the class. But I always in a social dance class, make sure they move on count 1 as a prep. Now in 280, if this 180 kids move up into 280, I tell them, I said, I'm still gonna call you on a prep. If you choose not to move on the prep, that's okay. We're still gonna call it. Yeah, so you can stand there, 1, 2, ready, prep, and just start your movement on 2. But mentally, there's a movement. Mentally, they're feeling that prep on count 1, call it that way. Now, if you're working with advanced kids or competitive kids or a team, and they're going to just actually start on movement on 2, how do you call it? What needs to be your last count of your call-in? 1. So what do you say to make your last count a 1?
Because what my teacher did when I learned it at home was 1, 2, 3, go.
Yes. 1, 2, 3, and go. There's your 1. Let's start on the 2. It has to be, if you're going to start on a 1, you have to have 5 counts in your call. If you're going to start on a 5, you have to have 5 counts. So I like that. I say that a lot. Start on my second 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Or 1, 2, 3, ready, go. There's your 5 counts. Something that you are calling all the way to the 1. All right. We haven't started cha-cha yet in your 180s, but in 2 weeks we'll start cha-cha. So really watch for how your teachers do those calls. Cha-cha. All right, waltz. Waltz has its own count. How many counts in a waltz phrase? 6. 6 in a complete phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a 4, 5, 6 in a waltz phrase. We never count all the way to 6 in waltz. Right, we don't count a box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We just repeat the 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But start feeling in your waltz phrasing music. Start feeling like, can I feel the 1 versus the 4, 5, 6? And in waltz beginning calling, I think you should use all 6 counts for the calling. 1, 2, 3, ready, and go. 1, 2, 3, ready, and go. 6 counts. Just so the ready and go, or 1, 2, 3, feel like there's not quite enough. Your students together. And then often you've called that on the 1, 2, 3, so they're starting on a 4, 5, 6. Doesn't matter a whole bunch, especially beginning. You really don't feel the difference between a 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. But I want you to start listening to your waltz music. Are you doing waltzing in your classes? Advanced. Waltz. But count. Sometimes when I start my call, I'm like, oh, dang, I called on the 4 instead of the 1. And it just then feels like just a little off. Doesn't matter a ton in beginning.
So that's the same between American waltz and international
Same,
waltz.
exactly the same. Yeah, they have exactly the same phrasing, just different tempo. American is, well, waltz is funny because American waltz, bronze, is faster than silver. It slows down. Advanced waltz slows down in American. And all the other dances you speed up.
International slow.
Yeah, international slow. Yeah. Okay, rumba. I'm just going to mention rumba. Maybe done American rumba. How many counts in American rumba? Basically? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So same principles as an 8 count call in, 1, 2, ready, go. You start on a 1. And then as Nick mentioned, in between the steps, depending on if you're doing cha-cha transition or waltz transition, you use the time step to get back to your slow movements. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, start watching your 180s for starting calls. Start listening and observing. Let's talk about starting calls next time that you have observed. Okay, number 3. All of that was number 1, characteristics to teach. Number 2, starting call. Now number 3, calling with music. Your students are dancing and you are calling the rhythm for them to follow. Not a big star by this or a, ooh, this is the key. Your voice is the beat for your students. Your voice is the beat. They will follow your voice no matter what the music is doing. So if you're off count, they will dance off count in your verbal calling. This is the reason why being able to rhythmically call to music is like a number 1 requirement for being a 180 teacher. You have to be able to call music. You can know the syllabus steps inside out. You can have a great teaching presentation. But if you can't call on music, you just you won't be teaching dancing, which is a hard thing, but I think it's just such an important element to can't be overlooked. All right, we're going to talk about 6 different ways to call rhythm to music. And this also start watching for like, how do they call swing? How do they call foxtrot? What does Brother Fisher do? How does he call? Number 1, calling the rhythms, which means the slows and the quicks. Foxtrot, we do a lot of rhythmic calling. Slow, slow, quick, quick, slow, slow, quick, quick. We do rhythmic calling in waltz. You ever hear anybody go slow, 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 slow? No. So each of these lend themselves differently to different dances. Number 2, calling the pattern or the direction, like forward, forward, side, the forward, back, side, in, out, the direction that they're going. And when the teacher is calling this, if it's couples dancing, it should always be the men's direction that is called. Unless you say, okay, this time I'm calling what the ladies are doing, because you just need to establish universally that what the teacher says is what the men are doing. So they just always automatically follow what you're saying. Establish that ladies, I call it this, the reversal. Ladies, you just reverse what I say. If I say forward, you go back. If I say left, you say right.
So I noticed like I haven't seen those really have a problem with that. It's like doing one thing or opposite. I really don't like why don't I have problems? It's like very fun thing.
Why don't we say that part again louder? Why don't we what?
Why don't